I was told there.
Lord, we are thankful for this day, and we pray that as we have conversations and discuss things and make decisions, that we'll understand the impact of those decisions. Pray this in Jesus' name.
Amen.
Okay, kind of crowded here.
Harm's way today. There's all kinds of things and stuff going on, but we're thankful for your grace and know that your grace goes on before us. Pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
That is a massive ripple.
We have a roll call, Nikki.
Stacy Keels,
Here.
Michael Pelser,
Here.
Rob Steele,
Here.
Corey Bolander,
Here.
Jerry Alexander,
Here.
Lindsey Brown,
Present.
Ken Kaczynski,
Here.
Mark Gary,
Present.
and Olivia Pratt.
Here.
Thank you.
I would like to say welcome to our newest member, Stacy, on our board. Next up, we have approval of the May 12th minutes.
I'll make a motion. Second.
Those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? All right, first up, we have old business. We have 26-C-003.
Good morning, board, and welcome everybody. This first petition is 2026-Z003. It's a rezone from R2 and GC to G1 in the at 6529 South Madison Avenue. There was a hearing on May 12th with the Homer companies about their proposal. That was continued to this meeting based on additional information that would be by the petitioner. We did not receive the information today, so they are presenting that today. I will refer you to the minutes of that meeting where basically you required that this engineering work be completed prior to the completion of the rezoning. So then please sign in.
Sure. Yeah, good afternoon, commissioners. I suppose I'm happy I'm not here presenting a data center. My name is Misha Rabinowitz, again, an attorney with offices of One Indiana Square in Indianapolis. Thank you for hearing us again. I guess mainly we wanted to provide an update with the information and the work that's been going on since the last hearing. We know that the drainage plan was really the most significant issue. Josh Kuhn from Kinley Horn is here and he can speak to you about it. We understand that you didn't receive it until last night. It wasn't intent to jam you up. There's survey work that had to be done and putting that information together. And we understand that will have to go through the drainage permitting process and a full review. Nonetheless, we wanted to try to at least get it in front of you before this meeting. And then Josh, he will sort of summarize generally what the plan is. What I'd like to spend a few minutes doing is to try to address each of the issues that came up at the last meeting and then answer any questions. Sound. One of the concerns that was expressed was related to sound. I know Larry had asked that we put together some numbers that we had talked about the last time. the sound from the wood chipping business is the chipper machine, the wood grinder, which is really in the middle of the site. As most of you know and can see from the aerial, it's a large site, so there's a lot of room, a lot of opportunity for sound absorption. But our review of kind of the details of the sound is the chipper machine has a decibel level of 100 to 120 decibels. The nearest sort of residential area to that chipper machine is about 500 feet away at the west property line. The decibel level obviously decreases as you go farther away. Our understanding is about 6 decibels. I think for every 10 feet, and then also there's the ordinance requires a 30-foot buffer, landscape buffer to be constructed in that area, which we're obviously committing to do. There's also an existing tree buffer. And then the sort of elephant in the room is that the 69 noise provides ambient sound that kind of deadens the wood chipper noise. And when we were out here the last time, the Homer folks took some sound readings, and that sound was 78 to 83 decibels. So at the property line, taking all of that into account, the decibel level from the chipper machine is less than the sound from the highway at the property line. So we don't think that should be an issue. There was a question about, does it run all night? No. I believe it closes at 6 p.m. Is that the closing time of the operation? So it would be roughly 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. So that's the noise issue. There was a comment that was made, I think, by somebody in the audience who indicated concern about arsenic in the mulch. We reviewed all of the safety data sheets for the coloring that's put into the mulch. It's all non-toxic, non-hazardous. It makes sense because as I said the last time, this is mulch that you put in your lawn and garden area around your landscaping. So that's that issue. Traffic was something that came up. We've confirmed that there's no more than 2 employees on site at any one time. It's a very low traffic use. Generally speaking, there are 2 semi trucks that will be coming and going during the day. So it's not something where you have trucks lined up or even like a gravel pit where you have, dump trucks hauling gravel out on a routine basis. It's pretty low traffic. Fire safety, I think that was another comment that was came in from someone in the audience. We comply with all fire safety codes. We understand that this is they have other operations. Again, as I said, it's a large site. They maintain a safe distance, I believe 30 feet between the stockpiles, which provides room for apparatus should that be necessary to come in and out. So we tried to address that. One sort of separate issue that came up on the drainage before I turn it over to Josh to kind of generally describe the plan and then answer any questions on the drainage came up related to the extra space storage facility that's I think at the southeast corner of the site, and that property owner has some drainage issues and had reached out about obtaining an agreement with the Homer folks about a drainage easement that would provide them the necessary area to drain their property. And the parties have been in contact. I believe there's an agreement subject to getting it put in a written easement, but that will be worked out. We've spoken with a couple of the neighbors. There's a drug treatment facility, I believe, at the northern end of the site. We spoke with those folks. They didn't appear to have any objection to the use, and we've spoken with the Best Way folks who are at the south of the property, and they were very supportive of the project. So with that, I just have Josh maybe take a couple minutes to explain where we are in the drainage plan and then answer any questions you have.
Thanks, Misha. Hello, everyone. My name is Josh Kuhn, Kimley Horn, 300 North Meridian, Suite 1500 in Indianapolis, Indiana. To touch briefly on drainage, I understand that, like Misha said, plans were submitted yesterday. We wanted to make sure that we were all good on our end, did some internal reviews. We're trying to go for last week, but had to come to this week. Like you said, survey came in beginning of last week, so did everything we could to get things together as soon as possible for you guys. Like we said, understood that has to go through the drainage review process, understood that'll go through drainage board, and we can dive detailed into the calculations through those reviews. But for the purposes of this meeting, wanted to give a brief understanding of what we're proposing from a drainage perspective. Really, the only thing that we're showing on plans is general locations for where their mulch piles and operations will occur at. And then a swale along the south property line to a detention basin on the west that will discharge to the regulated drain. The swale and detention basin will both function as BMPs, or water quality. I know that was one of the concerns of the prior meeting with anything that might get into the ground. It'll, per the drainage manual, will go through both of those water quality detention areas as which would work to remediate anything that may get into the ground. But even so, there is very minimal risk of any of that. Like I mentioned, there's very few trucks on site. There's minimal equipment already. So there's not much concern to begin with on anything getting into the ground. I can dive as much as you guys would like into drainage, but I know there's pretty lengthy drainage report and don't necessarily need to break that down here. But happy to answer any questions you guys have initially with plans or drainage.
Josh, of course, I'm gonna have,
Mhm.
we've been asking since last year for it. We still do not have it. You said you submitted it. I have not seen it. You've not filled out a development form for our engineers that we hire a third party to look at it.
I believe
So-
that was sent over.
But, let me finish, please.
Okay, yeah, sorry.
So we don't have it. I don't have it. So what I need you to do to make sure that we got to make sure it doesn't, anything gets into the ground. We talked about that in the last meeting. But this is something you'll have a conversation more with Banning Engineering.
Mhm.
To make sure with the calculations. We also have another situation just came up. Maybe you guys are aware of it, maybe you're not. Bestway just made a deal with the city for 22 acres. That's going to affect this project because with our drains being right there. So we're going to have to look at that now on top of what you've submitted. I have not seen what you've submitted. Our group hasn't seen it.
Understood.
So we're going to have to look at that, and we'll have probably a couple informals
Mhm.
to go through to see where we're at, and then back and forth until it becomes agreeable, until we get it to the board, the drainage board. But we have one more denominator with this 22 acres. We've reached out to the city and we've reached out to Bestway. We need, same thing we're asking from you, we need from them.
Understood.
So
Yeah.
this might take a little bit longer now because I have no idea what their plans for their drainage is on that area. And you guys all share the same drain.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. Understood. And like I said, if there's anything that you haven't received, please let me know. I believe it was all sent over yesterday, and I know Angie should have it, and I think you were CC'd on that, but want to make sure that it all gets to the right sources. So please let me know after the
Sure.
meeting if you still don't see anything, and I'll
I'll
make
call
sure
you
to get it
today.
to you.
So if
Cool.
I have it, then you and I can kibitz about it, and then
Yeah.
we'll get it rolling over. But you got to get, did you fill out your forms for the
Yes.
development?
Yeah. And I confirmed this with Angie too, so wanted to make sure we're all on the same page.
All right.
So I had multiple phone calls with her over the last couple of weeks. So
The pole barn that you're building is 40 by 60, is that correct?
there's no new. Yeah.
I thought you guys were building a pole barn there.
At a later date, they were planning that.
That last
You guys
meeting,
said that
I
at a
thought-
later date, you thought you might put up a pole barn.
We talked about beginning
Come up there.
we talked about remodeling the existing building that's on site, but we never talked about a new building. No, there's two buildings on site now that need to be remodeled.
For some reason, I thought there was a pole barn in the situation that we were gonna store, and I thought it was
Mention about-
dying your mulch in the barn and moving it out of that. Is that, I'm sorry, I'm misspeaking.
If that was the case, we would be using one of the two existing buildings. They just have to be remodeled.
Okay.
Dire need of being remodeled.
Well, while you up there, I had a question. Misha talked about a safety data sheet. Will that sheet be, safety data should be on site at all times?
Would it be on site at all times?
Yes. Sure. Okay. Well, in case fire or something needed.
Yes.
Can you state your name to the record, please?
My-
And I'll need you to sign in.
My name is Scott Reposh.
Is it a sign-in sheet up there?
He's
He's
signed
signing
out.
it
Oh,
right
okay.
now.
Are there any other questions from the?
I guess if there are no other questions, I'm hoping this is appropriate. We think that the zoning, there doesn't seem to be much objection with the use. We understand there's a detailed drainage review that has to go. So I guess our request today is that we'd like to get approval of zoning, obviously subject to going through the drainage process and getting approval of the drainage.
You good? That's the process.
What's that?
That's the process.
Yeah.
Counselor, could you repeat your request, so what you're seeking today?
Yeah, the request,
Well, I know what you want ultimately, but.
okay. Well, the request is for approval of the rezoning. I don't have the classification in front of me, but the light industrial.
Requested.
Yeah, as requested, the rezoning, and it would be subject to going through the drainage approval process and approval of ultimately of the drainage plan by the drainage board.
We could list those as petition.
Jeff, let me interject there. I had a similar thought, which I sent to you. It could be contingent upon going them through the site development plan process, which would take them back in front of the technical review committee, which could send them back to the plan commission if they weren't happy with the results of the. So you could do the rezone today contingent on a successful completion of the site development plan.
The only thing I would ask you, Larry, or ask to put in there, the board would be that there's no activity on site, no trucks coming in, nothing at this point, because there's a lot of mulch there now. That we do nothing at this point until it gets through the drainage board and their approval at that point. We'll agree with that. I would make the motion. Are you guys good okay with that?
So are you saying to the site development plan or to the drainage board?
But my proposal was that we approve the rezone contingent upon successful completion of the site development plan process, including, as Ken suggested, no additional material be brought on site. Do I have that correct?
I don't know why we're having go back to another step. If they've already came here, they've been in front of the tech review, which we've heard you guys and I heard you. So I've heard this a few times now. I think we're to the point that if we approve it, I think all we're waiting for is the drainage board at this point. I hate to have them go through another hoop and another hoop.
Okay.
We've already been through those hoops. Just don't do anything on the side. Don't bring any more trucks in. Let's agree to that at this point and let the drainage board, let Danny look at it. Drainage board goes through it. I make the recommendation to the drainage board at that point. You and I, Josh, can definitely have conversations, which we should, and then we'll get this moving a lot quicker. If they want to get up and running, I understand that. And like I said, this has been going on. We talked Christmas time last year. So
That makes sense.
Misha, would the petitioner be willing to make that as part of commitment?
Yes.
What's been discussed, and then again, as you know, commission, or this is an advisory plan commission, so we will be making a recommendation to the commissioners with the anticipation that the ordinance, if you make a recommendation today, will be on the agenda for the 16th.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
not sure what we-
consistent with our understanding.
Should we ask the audience if anybody's here opposing it or not?
Did we close the public hearing?
I say I think we closed the public
closed it.
hearing
We did.
last.
A majority of the plan commission could reopen.
Are you? No. Was that a favorable motion? or-
yeah, that's
okay.
favorable on those conditions. If Misha and then Josh, you guys agree to that? and
Yes.
Motion.
Second.
We have a roll call vote, Nikki.
Yes. Stacy Canitz,
Yes.
Michael Pelser,
Yes.
Rob Steele,
Yes.
Corey Bolander,
Yes.
Jerry Alexander,
Yes.
Lindsey Brown,
Yes.
Ken Kaczynski,
Yes.
Mark Gary,
Yes.
Olivia Pratt.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next on the agenda, under new business, we have 26-TA-001. I know Larry's gonna want to speak. Jeff, do you
Jeff,
want
why don't
to
you address
All
that?
right, guys.
kick this off?
You're welcome.
Sorry.
Sir.
Good morning, Commission. Good morning, folks. I'm Jeff Graham, the county attorney and the attorney for the Madison County Plan Commission. Today is set for a public hearing on a possible text amendment to our zoning code. Public hearing means that the public gets an opportunity to speak. After talking briefly to the president of the Plan Commission and others, the time will be limited on this one to 1 hour, 3 minutes per person. Non-transferable. Feel free to speak for or against the proposal. We ask that you please not be repetitive in the comments, so that everyone with a new idea or something, another angle on the moratorium, would have an opportunity to speak. Also ask the best you can, as crowded as it is here and warm as it is, it's going to be difficult, is try when the person's speaking into the microphone to try to keep the noise as low as we can. Ms. Wood down there has to create a record of this proceeding, and it's difficult enough, even with the AI stuff that we have now, and it makes it more difficult when people are talking or clapping or booing or whatever goes on. So we ask that that we maintain a low level of noise as we can. As we discussed on the previous one, this body is a advisory plan commission. They conduct the public hearing and they make a recommendation to the county executive. The executive of a city is a mayor. The executive of a county is a board of commissioners, and they would make the ultimate call on whether an ordinance gets changed or not. However, this board will make either a favorable recommendation on the moratorium, a neutral recommendation, or an unfavorable recommendation. And then it's anticipated on the 16th at 10 o'clock in this room that the Madison County Board of Commissioners will consider the ordinance, which would create the moratorium, voted up or down. They don't have to. They have 60 days to do it. But I'm fairly confident that they'll take an up or down vote at that time. But again, this is your opportunity to speak. The commissioners may allow public comment on the 16th, but it's not required. Also, this comes all the time in all kinds of issues. This board has jurisdiction only on the unincorporated parts of Madison County. And that means if not in a town or not in a city, if it's in Ingalls or if it's in LaPel or Pendleton or Elwood or another place like that in the county, this board does not have planning jurisdiction. So if you hear about another project that's going to take place in one of our municipalities here in the county, there's nothing this board nor the Board of Commissioners can do to affect that project. So with that said, I'll turn it back over to Madam President.
Thank you, Jeff.
Okay.
Well, before when people do come up to speak, please state your name and address for the record and be sure to sign in so that he has
Right.
information.
I do want to make a motion. I did talk to Olivia to add additional 6 months, that we take it up in July's meeting for additional 6 months. So we have a year on this. So if we get if we get a roll call that we could bring it back up in July for additional 6 months, so we have a year.
I just defer to Jeff. I mean, it was
I've talked to
advertised as 6.
6 months, yeah.
Right.
You run into some possible risk on doing that. You could always come back next month and have another public hearing and extend it out another 6. But the issue is that it is noticed for a 6 month.
Please.
And that puts the people on both the proponents and the opponents on notices. This is the ordinance that is going to be considered. It's a 6 month moratorium. You can always extend it.
For the record, I'd like to put in for July, Nikki, that we bring this back up for additional 6 months for a roll call to expand it to a year.
So
Oh yeah, that's fine.
Okay. for July's meeting.
Yeah, we would have another public hearing at that time.
But would that be necessary? Couldn't it just be automatically extended at 6 months?
The notice that was in the paper said 6 months.
Right,
So
right, I
I
understand.
think for today and the 16th, when the commissioners vote, we're stuck to the 6 months.
Okay.
But my understanding, Kent's proposal is let's do another recommendation to the commissioners in July to extend it to July of 2027.
Correct.
Okay.
Give us enough time to review it.
Okay, I don't want to take a lot of time here because I know everybody wants to talk.
Do we need to vote if he's made a
No,
motion to
that's
do that?
What we gotta do first.
Yeah, I
That's
think
what I
that's just
would
a
think.
request to be on the agenda.
If I don't need to make a motion,
I
it's
don't
a
think, I
request.
think you can just request that be on there. As a member of the commission, that's certainly proper.
So before I start, as a point of protocol, we got safety issues here. I mean, if this gentleman had an issue, he would have real trouble getting out of here. I know 2 people have said they wanted to speak immediately. There's people outside that want to speak. I don't know how to control this, so just try and be deferential to everybody who comes through. Thank you. The Board of Commissioners have requested a 6-month moratorium. They asked us to put together a staff report for this petition, which I did. Basically, data centers are rapidly becoming part of the landscape in parts of Indiana and other states. I've talked about a lot of other stuff, which I'm not going to dwell on.
Going to elaborate more on what Ken suggested with the 12-month moratorium and why we believe it is best, again, still, for a 12-month moratorium. My name is Tandy Holloway Jones. My husband and I have lived in Madison County for 65 years, all of our lives. I'm also hearing impaired. And for me and everyone that's here and the people that are outside watching online, please speak into your microphone. about educating everyone on data centers, environmental effects, property devaluations, utility and water usage within an incredibly complex industry. Technology moves quickly, and as a community, our planning must move deliberately. We must analyze every factor involved in data centers and other high-impact industries. Currently, our Madison County UDO and ordinances do not specifically define or regulate the massive environmental noise, infrastructure impacts of a hyperscale data center, along with many other now known issues that comes with a data center. It was confirmed in the UDO draft meetings held in Alexandria and Pendleton recently that there is no draft of a data center ordinance. The solar ordinance took approximately 2 years to finalize. It is now known as one of the best in the state. Knowing this, it seems like a 6-month moratorium is a bit unrealistic. The end of the proposed 6-month moratorium also coincides with the end of the election and potentially 2 commissioners being replaced. An ordinance of this size and this importance would take some time to get up to speed. There are 3 important areas we should be discussing in planning a moratorium. We should be updating our UDO with a data center ordinance. We need to draft a comprehensive ordinance that will address high energy, high water usage, setbacks from residential areas, property devaluations, pollution, mandate strict noise, and define high appearance standards. Number 2, protect utilities and ratepayers. These facilities are huge power and water consumers. We need to make sure the cost of these utilities does not get shifted to the ratepayers. Impact studies will need to be conducted. Number 3, ensure transparency. Before any documents, including a data center ordinance, gets fast-tracked, the public needs a seat at the table. I am therefore requesting a committee be formed with 50% participation of Madison County unincorporated residents. The Madison County Planning Commission's mission is, and I quote directly from your website, to preserve and improve the health and safety of Madison County citizens. If a data center is ever going to be approved in our community, it must be an asset, one that is in direct support, not direct conflict with your mission as a member of the Planning Commission. It must be people over profit. This 12-month moratorium will allow a clear, concise ordinance, one as strong as our solar ordinance, to put rules and regulations in place to ensure all residents of Madison County are protected. I urge you to press pause, educate yourself and each other, protect our resources, including valuable farmland, and put all residents' quality of life over big block buildings in our farmlands. We have our group here, and you will hear more from our group pertaining to our issues with not only data centers, but also with the 6-month moratorium. In answer to your 2 questions, yes, I have a cell phone. Yes, I use social media, but I did that way before hyperscale data centers were ever planned. So to assume that because we use social media and a cell phone, it has inhibited the growth of data centers, I think we need to do some more research.
Thank you.
Mhm.
That was about 8 minutes long. I think we need to tighten to 3 minutes.
One went off of 3. I think it was about 4.
So I think it was like 4 or 5. It was a little.
Yeah. Okay.
I will set a timer this time to go.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Good morning, everyone. My name is Cole Buttry. My address is 5758 West 1050 South. Standing in this room, it reminds me of one of my favorite scenes in a movie. I think we're going to need a bigger boat. Again, my name is Cole Buttry. My wife Rona and I are South Madison County residents. We're part of a group of residents working very hard to maintain a great existence in the county. We're located near the site of a potential data center. Landowner has participated in financial negotiations with Advantage Data Center Corporation. However, we are here today to speak not only about that area, but the entire county. I'd like to discuss a few things today: the requested 12-month moratorium with supporting petition, the purpose of the moratorium, and some guidance regarding the scope and magnitude of a project needed to research and develop an appropriate data center ordinances and safeguard. Okay, as the petition, as you know, we've requested a 1-year moratorium from the county, as well as from the towns of Pendleton and Ingalls. Petition was initiated on April 23rd and currently has 1,843 votes or approvals as of last night. Signatures, I believe we have just scratched the surface of that. It's been only Facebook is the only thing that's on. I've already submitted the signatures to you guys. I'll submit the petition and the signatures date to the council. You have to have both of those. I'll ask you to take into consideration and approve the moratorium. The purpose of the moratorium. Madison County currently lacks a dedicated ordinance regulating data center development. A moratorium is needed. Without clear standards in place, the community is exposed to unnecessary risk and uncertainty. One-year moratorium is essential to allow time for thoughtful planning, public input, and creation of enforceable protections that safeguard our health, environment, and quality of life. Scope and magnitude. The task of developing a data-driven ordinance that ensures the safety and well-being of the county residents is large and complex. I'm an engineer, and I've been in industrial environments for 43 years. I appreciate how much work it takes to really understand the inputs and outputs of a facility like a data center. To try to understand more, our group has visited data center sites in Ohio and Arizona. Generalized data center information is very easy to find, even though depending on your perspective, it can appear exaggerated for impact or generously filtered to make it go down easy. Facts are needed. And incomplete explanations of closed loop cooling is a prime example. Cell phone usage and Facebook is a prime example. As a starting list, studies are needed in the areas of zoning, land use, legal authority, and alignment with a comprehensive plan, water use, contamination, capacity, treatment, and infrastructure, power supply, grid impacts, local power generation, including turbines and nuclear, utility rates, environmental and public health, noise, water, air, and light pollution, traffic, roads, and public safety, including emergency response and fire protection, project management and oversight, property values, taxes and physical impact, property value guarantees, community benefits and long-term commitments, financial risk, debt and public burden, protection from noncompliance, bonding, decommissioning and end-of-life planning, land remediation. Okay, in my opinion, the moratorium must be needs to be approved. I've also handed in 4 pages of items that need to be considered. And one thing I need to do real quick is I know all these people are not going to be able to speak, and it is going to take some time. So one thing I'd like to ask people to do real quick, if you are against a data center, would you please stand up quickly? And then sit back down quickly. All right. Thank you very much.
My name's Isabel Stragey, 9881 South 575 West. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen of the council. My name is Isabel Stragey, and I'm a resident of Madison County and a nursing student at Anderson University. I gladly made that decision because I believe in the health and I believe in the safety and general welfare of our county residents. Ultimately, health is a concern. Not only will data centers affect the health of this generation, but generations to come. My responsibility as a soon-to-be nurse is the health of the community. That is why I stand here before you today. I've done the research regarding health concerns caused by data centers, so let's venture into some of those now. Noise pollution. Data centers emit 2 kinds of frequency, the first being mid to high frequency, measured in 65 decibels, which exceeds the healthy amount recommended by the National Institute of Health and causes hearing damage. The second kind is low frequency, and exposure to these airborne pressure waves can cause cellular and tissue damage. They interfere with daily activities, feelings, thoughts, sleep, and rest. These are also accompanied by negative responses such as anger, exhaustion, and stress-related symptoms. How willing are they to sacrifice the health of Americans for a glorified trend? At what cost? Air pollution. Saby, a data center company, uses 120 Tier 2 diesel generators for emergency power, which will periodically be tested. When the generators run, they emit air pollutants such as nitrogen oxide that the EPA states causes smog. Not to mention long-term exposure to those pollutants are linked to respiratory disease, cardiovascular problems, and cancer. Vulnerable populations such as children, the elderly, and those with pre-existing conditions are at an even higher risk than others. At what cost? Now for the biggest concern, water pollution. Data centers now promise a closed-loop system as if this makes the situation any better. In fact, closed-loop systems require more chemicals in the water, such as PFAs, also known as forever chemicals, corrosion inhibitors, biocides, and antifreeze. Once the toxic mix can't be used anymore, it's flushed out of the system and drained out to contaminate the local aquifers. This presents a huge contamination risk as many residents near this development obtain their drinking water from wells. So closed loop doesn't even come close to addressing data centers' outsized water demands. At what cost? At a previous meeting, I sat and listened to the concerns of this planning committee about a mulch company. Various members discussed potential traffic, noise, and drainage issues. The proposed data center will rain the same issues upon Madison County tenfold. All big data companies will attack and push back on what I just shared and call it a false narrative of health harms. 1,300 Americans dead a year, 600,000 respiratory cases that cost upwards of $20 billion in healthcare costs. Science proves it. Data centers call it a lie. Please, from one Madison County resident to another, consider the aftermath. Consider the health issues they're willing to bring upon us, upon your families. We need a 12-month moratorium or ban for the welfare and health of Madison County residents you were elected to protect. So basically, it boils down to this. It's either you vote for the moratorium to protect the health and safety of your citizens, or you don't care.
All right, I'm not known for being short-winded, so I'm going to try to keep this short and sweet. My name is Kathy Hahn. I live at 10738 South, 575 West, just outside of Pendleton. All these are my neighbors, and born and raised in Alexandria, so Madison County residents our whole life. We moved here 2 years ago, and to get away from Fort Wayne with being on the interstate, and they're building and tearing down all the trees, and we found our haven, right? Well, 2 years later, that is being questioned. So in light of understanding what we're facing right now, I want to share with you how it worked for other communities and what they're saying about it. So my first quote from a resident is, "We are truly living in hell." This remark was made by a resident in Northern Virginia, living a firsthand account of what it's like to live near a data center. And here's some more. "It's a constant electrical hum that I can almost feel behind my eyes when I'm sitting in my living room. The noise is way beyond horrendous for anyone within a mile. So some claim to even have to sleep in their basements at night because it vibrates too hard on their higher levels. The constant buzzing and smell of what I believe to be diesel. It's hard for me to even go into my own backyard. It's disheartening to see our community transformed by these industrial warehouses, but we're not going anywhere. In the winter, it's like someone's actually shining a light in my bedroom window. No one in this country wants these. On March 25th, 2026, AI Data Center Moratorium Act was introduced, and it's a bill that could pause all new large-scale AI data center construction until Congress passes legislation addressing safety, worker protections, and environmental standards. It was already mentioned, but according to the National Institutes for Health, a recent model does suggest that about 1,300 deaths a year are attributed to data center pollution, poison, with a burden of about $20 billion annually to taxpayers. It's a lot of money for me. I don't know about you. But what we find are water usage and pollution. We find noise pollution. We find air pollution. We find higher energy costs, and we also find changes in land use, which take a farming community that's been in the family for decades and for centuries and for generations, and now it's just completely being uprooted. So this one is a really good one. So according to Tech Republic, and first of all, I sell software for a living, so I do have a cell phone, I do use AI, and I feel there's a time and place for it. But just like electricity use, turn the light off when you leave the room. Don't leave running water and just walk away, right? Use it respectfully. According to Tech Republic, sending one email with ChatGPT is the equivalent in consuming one whole bottle of water. 6.7 billion AI-generated emails are sent every single day. That means we are sacrificing 6.7 billion bottles of water, or 52.3 million gallons a day, for 7 million people to send one email. Then you've got your boss saying, do it again, try it again. Multiply it by 3, 4, and 5. So imagine you are someone struggling to find safe drinking water, and these things are, yep, that's my time. But imagine you can't have safe drinking water, but somebody wants to send a fun meme, and now I don't get drinking water because of that meme. And what I would just say to wrap up is that it's crucial to give us time to provide education and build a case. There's a lot more to be found out to understand what the implications of our family's health and your family's health are. And you can decide whether or not our community would be part of that living hell. And I hope the answer is no. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. Morning, everyone. I'd like to thank the board for their attention and time on this matter. Also like to thank the public for coming in today and organizing around such an important issue for our community. Members of the Plan Commission, before I begin, I understand there is a time limit for public comment.
State your name, please.
Okay.
For the record.
Oh, I'm sorry. My name is Christian Ronho. I live at 1348 Ohio Avenue, Anderson, Indiana. Members of the Plan Commission, before I begin, I understand there is a time limit for public comment. I've worked on this for several weeks. I've prepared a concise summary that may run slightly longer than the allotted time. I want to iterate in good faith that I have no nonsense remarks or ad hominem attacks for anyone on this panel that would disgrace these chambers or your positions. With the commission's permission, I would respectfully like to preemptively request a brief extension so that I may present my remarks in full.
I would just,
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
keep going.
My name is Christian Ronhell. Some people know me by Christian Miller. I'm a lifelong Madison County resident, born and raised right here in Anderson. I'm a father of 4. I'm a parent. I'm a partner. I'm a provider. I'm a Christian, and I'm a friend to you all. I'm hoping to use the time I have this morning to bolster community insight on the matter of data centers in our community. Today, the council here before us are poised with the unique opportunity to demonstrate that the voices of Madison County residents genuinely shape the decisions made in this chamber. Moving forward, I'd like to talk about some metrics. The 6-month moratorium is just the first step in a long battle with multi-billion-dollar corporations with tremendous political power and financial influence. The United States has 5,427 data centers, with Indiana hosting 122 facilities backed by 22 corporate entities, while also leading the nation in tax incentives for these facilities. They want to come here. These incentives have attracted major investment from companies like Amazon and Microsoft. I have numbers here, but for the sake of time, I'm not going to go into them. That said, Madison County has aging infrastructure, and there are present growing concerns about the integrity of our grid infrastructure and current water supply, which raises an important question. Can our current infrastructure withstand the additional demand on our electrical grid and water resources? What are the environmental consequences of large-scale water consumption if these facilities rely on liquid cooling, and what effects could that have on sensitive ecosystems surrounding the White River? There's a myriad of legitimate concerns with these facilities, and often in large-scale development, the promise of economic gain dominates the conversation, while environmental, ecological, and communal risks are pushed to the margins until public forces them into focus. How can we proactively counteract this problem? This brings me to my focal point: corporate valuation and cash flow. These companies have trillion-dollar valuations with, for example, Amazon has $86.8 billion in immediate liquidity. They have $86.8 billion that they can just throw at a problem if they want to. Is it out of the realm of possibility that should Madison County approve, and I vehemently oppose it, but should Madison County approve an expansion of hyperscale data centers, could a trust fund be approved where developer seed capital investment, along with energization, groundbreaking, and operational launch contributions are used to offset energy consumption and kickstart civic investment? This will be followed by a 1-year operations cash injection with annual index payments for 2 to 10 years adjusted for inflation and scale.
Thank you.
There's so much.
I understand.
Okay.
We've got to be respectful.
Yeah, I understand. Will there be another long form conversation where we can talk about this?
The public hearings today, Ken made a motion for an additional.
July? Was that
one in
July, sir?
I say you can submit. I say we've got, like you said, hundreds of emails already on these.
Well, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Good morning, Planning Commission and members of the public. Thank you for being here, every one of you. My name's Adam Peckham. Address is 114 North Randall Street, Ingalls, Indiana. I've lived in Ingalls, the Ingalls area, my whole life. Know the area very well. And I'm an avid consumer of global news. I pay attention to everything that's happening, from financial markets, supply chain logistics, geopolitics, and more. And how does any of that relate to why we're here for data centers? Because the answer is diesel fuel. Diesel fuel, we are staring down the barrel of a diesel fuel shortage in this country. There are farms going fallow in Asia because they cannot plant their crops. Europe will be in this crisis in a matter of weeks. The US will be in this crisis in a matter of months. Everything is used. Diesel is used for the production of everything, from agriculture to shipping to industrial production and construction. And where does construction lead? Well, diesel builds data centers. Diesel fuels the generators to either operate the data center or to serve as a critical backup so you don't lose all your equipment. Diesel fuels the shipping of all the components of the data center to get there. We don't use trains much anymore for that kind of stuff. So what happens when a company starts to build a data center and then has to abandon the project because of a fuel shortage that we will run into very soon? And what will we be left with? Land stripped for a project that isn't done. The cost of the cleanup will be transferred to the local taxpayer, and the loss of revenue to the county when the companies default, which, speaking on that, OpenAI there are many speculations about that happening as we speak, especially with the bond markets going up. And as you weigh the importance of a moratorium and even a full ban, please take this serious issue into consideration. And if you want some sources, you can find anything from Reuters to CNN to even outlets like Fox. All of these issues, from the Iran war to the impending energy crisis, will affect projects like this. So, in favor of a moratorium, please vote for this, proposal, and potentially save the taxpayers of this county and the future economic development of the area. So, thank you, everybody.
Hello, my name is Kelly Peckham. I live at 114 North Randall Street in Ingalls. I've lived in Ingalls since 1996. 30 years ago, we could never have imagined how our quality of life and the overall public health and safety could be so upended by data centers. You will hear from other speakers about many specific issues impacting the quality of life and public health and safety. I want to address the economic impact of the data center. Our county leadership is tasked with both economic development to grow and strengthen Madison County, and at the same time to preserve and improve the health and safety of the Madison County citizens. This is the mission of your commission, and I have it printed there on that poster. When your mission conflicts with economic development, how do you resolve it? The answer is don't rush. This is why we need a 12-month moratorium. Take time to consider all the impacts of a potential development. Do the research, review national studies, commission critical local studies, consider the long-term impact over the short-term gain, and thoughtfully update our UDO to protect our residents and natural resources. Here are some topics for you to consider. What is the average economic lifespan of a data center? Industry research says 9 years. Other research says data centers are obsolete at 7. So are we going to invest and take away from our county to invest in a 10-year or 7-year program that's going to give us limited returns? If the pro data center argument is that it creates jobs, what is the true long-term effect of that? According to online searches, a 100 megawatt data center might employ 25 to 40 full-time employees once operational. And most data centers are not built by local contractors, so it's hard to argue that it's going to have that impact on our local construction crews. Are 40 full-time positions really a trade-off for all the missed long-term growth and employment in other industries that we could bring here instead? So I heard Madison County Economic Development Commission mentioned, or the Development Committee mentioned earlier, that they're not in favor of a moratorium. According to their website, MCED has helped create over 9,500 new jobs and $3.5 billion in new investments in the last 15 years. How do 40 jobs and a short-term infusion of cash compare to this type of long-term sustainability? How can they be in favor of that? If the pro data center argument is that it's a financial win for the county, is it truly in the long run? What does the county lose in that trade-off for that upfront money and maybe 10 years of economic return? One of the most obvious ones is an immediate drain of those that can afford to move away. The median household income in Madison County is $63,000, already 16% below the national median. Without a moratorium and a UDO that restricts data centers, Madison County will be seen as data center friendly. And those with the means to move away will before they lose their property value and quality of life. Median income will drop, which will impact your taxes. Existing businesses will shutter or move away. New business developers will think twice about building in Madison County. Residential developers will think twice about building here. Tourism could be negatively impacted. In summary, we ask that you vote for a 12-month moratorium in service to your Madison County citizens and consider a full ban. Data centers and AI don't need food and water to live. People do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for being here. My name is Douglas Eisengrein. I am a resident of Eastern Hamilton County. I am here with a good friend of mine who is a lifelong resident, Heather Green of Madison County. And I have spent a fair bit of time here in Anderson, Pendleton, for various political issues. So first, let me say that I am very much in favor of you voting for the 12-month moratorium. A little bit about my background. I am not a lifelong Hoosier. I moved here from Northern California in the Bay Area, San Francisco area, in 2019. I have worked directly in Silicon Valley. My last full-time job was for a small software startup directly across the street from Meta headquarters, at that time called Facebook, of course. One of my most recent projects was a project management project, about 2.5 years, for a joint project, public outreach for Supermicro and AMD. And I'm not here to say negative things about them. I just bring them up to say that my career has been very directly involved in tech, including AI, for many, many years. Supermicro, if you're not familiar, is a very large server manufacturer working hand in hand with AMD, which is one of the #1 worldwide microchip manufacturers. That being said, I have a stake in this. That is kind of my point here. What I came with today was a fairly long list of questions, and I'm not here to present these questions for answers. I'm here to present them for thought. These are some of the things that I believe need to go into this discussion. And if I run out of time, which I very likely will, before I get through the questions, that's kind of the point, right? So I grouped my questions under kind of larger headlines, and I will read those as I go here. Who? What company or companies are planning, funding, and set to profit from this data center? If they're not instantly recognizable, who are they? And who or what are they to this community? What and where? How large is this proposed data center, and what is its actual purpose going to be, AI or other? What is the proximity to the nearest houses, businesses, schools, farmland, parks, etc.? Then we move into energy and resources. Energy, power. Who will provide this power? Will it be the local utility? Will it be some other private power source? These are things that need to be considered. How much power will this particular data center require? Some of the data points by some of the previous speakers have already been presented. I'm not here with data points. I am here just to pose these questions. Yes, I know I've run out of time. Now, just to wrap up here, I had probably somewhere in the neighborhood of about 25 more questions to pose, and that is the point. There are a lot of questions that need to be asked. So again, I please ask you to approve this moratorium.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Maria. My last name is Montez de Oca, and I currently live at 9811 South, 575 West, Fortville, Indiana. I live directly across the road from where the data center will be built, if it's built. But I have a list of questions that have been brought to my attention by my neighbors and my friends, and so I'd like to read that for you so you guys can consider what the effect would be for us living there as citizens. The environment and the public health. Environmental studies. What environmental studies have been completed, and can the public see them? The groundwater impact. Will the groundwater levels or the aquifers be affected? Heat discharge. How will the waste heat be handled? Noise studies. Have studies been done for cooling equipment, generators, and construction? The air quality. Will the diesel backup generators affect air quality? And how many will be allowed on site and running simultaneously? The fuel storage. How much diesel fuel will be stored on site? And what is the spill prevention measures exist? The data center water discharge. Will the facility be allowed to discharge spent water And where will it go? The stormwater management. How will the stormwater runoff be handled? Moving into the traffic, the roads, and the public safety. What traffic studies have been completed? What road upgrades will be needed and who pays? What construction traffic should residents expect? Is our fire department equipped for our facility of this size? What specialized training will be required and who pays for it? What emergency response plans will be in place? The project management and the oversight. Who is managing this project for the county? Does anyone involved have the experience with a project of this scale? Will the county hire an experienced project manager if needed? What oversights or reporting structures will be used? Complaint handling. How will the resident complaints be handled and tracked? The property values, the taxes, and the fiscal impact. The assessment. How will the data center be assessed for taxes? Will the county commit to no tax exemptions or abatements? What increase in net assessed value is expected? How will the nearby property values be affected? And has the fiscal impact studies been completed and released? Thank you.
So before I start, I just wanted to point out that everybody in this room stood up when asked if they wanted a data center in their community. And now I would like you to raise your hand if you're a Republican, or if you would consider yourself on the right. Raise your hand if you're a Democrat and would consider yourself on the left. All right. My name is Steph. I'm 24. I live at 7755 Manuel Fields Way in Ingalls. The last Snell, S as in Sam, N as in Nancy, ELL. The last time I spoke at one of these meetings, I had just gotten off work. I was in my pajamas and was a total nervous wreck. So today I'm here to say the same thing, but a little more coherent. The last time I spoke, I used the word poor in reference to Madison County as opposed to Hamilton. Thinking back on that now, that wording was a mistake. We might have a lower median income, but poor is as far from the truth as it gets. Madison County has communities full of hardworking farmers, teachers, doctors, nurses, soldiers, veterans, and so on. We have young and old, black and white, Democrat and Republican, Christian, Muslim, Sikh, and so on. But if there's one thing everyone in this room has in common, it's that we care about our home. That's why you're all here. Nobody can care more about a place than the people who live there. But poor is how shareholders and CEOs want to see us, an afterthought. That's why data centers are disproportionately placed in rural communities. To them, it's out of sight, out of mind. It's not in their backyard. Saying no to a data center is proving them wrong. It's forcing them to see us, hear us, and stop viewing us as land for their next big project. To say no to data centers is also to say no to higher electricity bills. They use a lot of that. The data center being constructed in Utah right now is 40,000 acres. That is 3 times the size of Manhattan and 160 times the size of Dollywood if you've ever been there. It will use twice as much power as the entire state of Utah. Its citizens will have to chip in to pay the bills, such is already the case in so many other places. To say no is to protect your community. It's to keep your water clean, to keep your crops healthy, to keep your people healthy, now and for the years to come. This isn't like most political issues. It isn't left versus right, red versus blue. It's up versus down. Us small town folk need to stick together. There are a lot more of us than there are of them. The 12-vote moratorium we're requesting will be a step towards ensuring whatever choice we make will be the best for the citizens and future generations of Madison County. And to answer your question, yes, I do have a phone, I do have social media, but I have never touched ChatGPT, Gemini, or any other AI models. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Frank Stapleton. My address is 1102 West First Street. And I'm here, I think, to voice the spirit of the people more than to present data and facts. And I have a prepared statement. To our neighbors, friends, and public servants, we are about to shake the tree of knowledge and expose every hidden truth, every unanswered question, and every inconvenient fact that has been ignored or concealed with the push to build data centers in Madison County. When that happens, we will see how many snakes fall from its branches. The stakes could not be higher with the introduction and installation of data centers. Our community stands to lose far more than it can gain from these centers. After our land resources, quality of life, and future opportunities are sacrificed, there will be no undoing the damage. The consequences will be permanent, and the people responsible for these data centers will be remembered accordingly. Those who choose to disregard what is plainly the will of the people and who place outside interests above the welfare of the community are gambling with more than a political decision. They are risking the trust, confidence, and goodwill of the people that they have been entrusted with to serve. If our entrusted representatives continue down this path, they should not disregard the large opposition to data centers in Madison County and abroad. What is growing among your constituents is not support, it is outrage. And when citizens conclude that their voices have been ignored, their concerns dismissed, and their future sold without their consent, the resulting anger, resentment, and backlash will be both fierce and enduring. Friends, neighbors, and leaders, the warning signs are already here, and the consequences of the data center installations have been made known in other communities. Disregarding or plainly ignoring the public outcry does so at the peril of our community. That's all I have to say.
Morning. My name is Ronald Carroll. I lived in Madison County for 50 years up until February. My current address is 9600 North 500 East in Pendleton, which is just south of the Madison County line. In addition to that, I maintain a significant stake in Madison County in that I own 4 properties in Alexandria and in Anderson. In addition to that, I have 3 children who have recently purchased properties in Madison County. So this is certainly meaningful to me. To the answer of the question on social media and cell phones, like about 95% of the people in the United States, yes, I have both. Having lived here for 50 years, I'm a local business owner. I've worked in technology for nearly 30 years, including the last 14 in the enterprise technology realm for large law firms. During that time, I've worked with AI systems, data centers, and infrastructures that support them. So I do know a few things about what it takes for these facilities. I'm not here to use any sort of fear or exaggeration. I'm just asking for the due diligence of this committee. Data centers are not a temporary decision. Once the land is converted, once the infrastructure is built, and once the resources are committed, those decisions are effectively permanent. For those considering the jobs that this project may bring, it's important to understand that many of those jobs are due to temporary construction, setup, and deployment. Modern AI data center facilities are often operated with relatively small permanent staffs with mediocre salary and are frequently managed from other locations. A moratorium is not saying no, it's saying slow down. It's saying that before Madison County makes a decision with long-term consequences, we should take the time to study the actual impacts of these facilities and that they have had in other communities. We should understand the effects on the water use, power infrastructure, surrounding property owners, and the quality of life. We should also hear from the residents and communities where data centers already exist, including those who have reported, as was mentioned earlier, ongoing noise from the cooling systems and other equipment operating around the clock. Before making a permanent decision, we should understand both the benefits and the costs. Multiple counties in Indiana have already chosen to pause and study these projects more carefully. I encourage Madison County to follow the same example. If there are citizens who support these projects, who support the use of land for data centers, and who believe this is the right path forward for Madison County and are not part of an economic development corporation or committee, I encourage them to step forward and speak. Decisions of this magnitude deserve a full and open discussion from all sides.
Thank you, sir.
To those making this decision, I would ask one simple question. Would you welcome these data centers in your own backyard? If the answer is no, then please approve the moratorium.
Good morning. I'm David Sargent. I live at 609 Imee Lane. I'm here both for myself and as Fall Creek 1 Precinct Committeeman on the Republican side. As you all know, this is a very complex issue. With everybody's testimony here, they've exposed a lot of questions. Now we know what we don't know and what we need to learn before we can make a valid decision on whether or not to approve a data center here in Madison County. This requires a special committee with a comprehensive study that would at least take 1 year to do properly and to expose the citizens with the findings of this committee and all issues being resolved that they have. When I was an officer candidate school, they taught us the 5 Ps. Proper planning prevents poor performance. Very simply, there's a lot of issues here that have to be worked through to be sure that this would be a fit or would not be a fit for Madison County. This is very important. Do you know that 1.5 million acres a year of farmland are taken away for manufacturing and other uses? That's 40 square miles every year. God isn't making any more land. Could we possibly repurpose brownfield property, which we have over 1,200 acres here in Madison County, for use as a data center without taking fertile farmland? That's a question. On some of the other things are, what are the unintended consequences if we do approve a data center? What are the long-term effects? Like I said, we now know what we don't know. Long-term ramifications with anything, there's good and there's bad about it. It's a double-edged sword. Let's make sure that this is an asset to Madison County if it's approved and not a debt or a burden on it. Now we have all these properties here, especially in Anderson, that are brownfield properties. Some are on Superfund decontamination sites. Let's make sure we don't add to that here in Madison County. Thank you very much.
Rob Sparks, the executive director of the Corporation for Economic Development for the county, and I work on behalf of everybody in this room and across the county, the 133,000 that aren't here. Our position is a moratorium sends a message across the state that we're closed for business. We don't think that's an appropriate way. There's a great many questions have been asked here today that we have been filtering for 18 months or more on data. We've actually pursued data for over a decade. And as we kind of look forward to how does data fit into the realm of modern business and what's going on, even at our last month's or January's meeting, there wasn't a single representative from public sector, the private sector, school systems, educational partners. All of them are adapting to a new frontier of how AI is impacting their business models, how they administer everything. The question is, how do you store that data, and does that make sense for us? Certainly, water's a major issue for the region, and one that is a disqualifier. When these companies come in, they're looking first for a land that they can assemble. Secondly, is there a power that's conveniently located that they can either build off that infrastructure or connect to without hundreds of millions of dollars? This does have, these companies are big, but there are price limits of what can happen. This is a slow process. It works. We don't work in a vacuum of the local governments. The proposed project that was floating in Ingalls, I believe, was driven by a broker. I did not see a pathway for power on that particular project because of the complexity of where it was located and the service providers plus 4 governing entities or 3 governing entities that was over that geographic area. We were asked to support that. We put it back to the local communities to say, where do you stand? We don't drive projects for anyone. We help make projects happen. We believe data has a place. We believe it'd be a great supplement to our tax base and our assessments. And if we don't have, let's say a 500-acre development could be a $10 billion investment of assessment. That drives down the taxes on local residents. That's the whole idea of how we drive. Yes, it does.
Hey guys.
And
Hey guys.
And the more that we do not have economic development, the more burden the cost of public services will remain on taxpayer. isn't the only reason you do projects, but it certainly has to come to the table. I appreciate your time. I'm available at any time. And I do respect the process, however it turns out, but we would ask that you do not put a moratorium at this point. If you want to engage conversations, meetings, we're happy to do that.
Thank you, sir.
Hi, my name is Lisa Tornacasa, and I live at 6511 Colt Lane. I am by trade a school counselor. I hear all the time about how this affects the community, how this affects the water, how this affects our energy bills, et cetera, et cetera. I do not hear how is this going to affect people with mental health disorders. I think of myself. I have bipolar. I have no idea what that humming will do to my bipolar. If I will be in a state of depression all the time, if I will be in a manic phase all the time. I've already been hospitalized twice for suicide. I don't want to go that route again. Then I think of my neighbors behind me who have 2 autistic children. They live their life by extreme structure. And if you're humming one level one day and the humming is louder another, that throws the entire structure of their life off. That also causes problems for the family because then the family has to figure out how to work with the child differently now. Then I think of my grandmother who had dementia. And every day, if she had to sit by this humming and see this water and live her life, what little she had after she was diagnosed, it would destroy every quality that she could have had her last few years. I think that our moratorium needs to be more than a year because you can't get this kind of data in a year. There's no way. It is long-term. Long-term effects, not only the patient or the person with the disease, it's the family sometimes, especially when it's the child that is suffering. We need it to be longer. And I'll be a part of your committee.
My name is Liz Camparelli. I live at 8383 West 8th Street Road. My second law degree is in real property development, and I've helped clients in Indiana and Florida develop over $1 billion of real estate over the years. So I feel like I understand this issue. And I'm going to go in a different direction. I'm not going to talk about moratoriums. I'm going to talk about working smarter, not harder. Your neighbor, Hamilton County, which 30 years ago was as backwater as we are now, has become one of the wealthiest counties in the country. They passed on May 21st one of the strictest ordinances on data centers. Now, they're not banning them, but practically speaking, you're not going to have one in Hamilton County. So my question to you is to reach out to those commissioners who've done a fine job of making them one of the wealthiest counties in the country. Steve, Mark will make time for you, Christine will, and ask them, why did they decide not to go in that direction? If it's such a moneymaker and an economic engine, they have the whole Northern County open for data centers. They're not doing that. They're not going in that direction. They're incredibly successful, and I have found the way to be successful is to follow success. So that is my request, is that you reach out to them, use their knowledge, use their data. Don't listen to anybody in here with an economic agenda. They'll tell you exactly why they've done what they've done. And then you don't have to spend all this time gathering data. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Luke Fields. I live at 226 Federal Drive right here in Anderson, 46013. I'm a history teacher at a nearby middle school. My wife is a social worker and in her last year of law school. We have recently, within the last year, decided to start establishing ourselves in Anderson, investing in this community because we appreciate the community that's here. We are even trying to establish our own nonprofit. With that being said, as somebody who is looking to purchase a home within the next 2 years and currently looking at Anderson for that, looking at Madison County for that, if we end up with these data centers, for us personally, that's going to change. We're going to look at somewhere else surrounding the areas where we work. And I think A lot of other people who have the means to do so might say the same thing. We don't want to live in these areas where these data centers are draining the resources. Obviously, a lot of people have already mentioned the ways that those data centers do drain those resources. I think when it comes to the economic advantages, disadvantages, the gentleman before spoke to putting a moratorium on this, says that Madison County is closed for business. I disagree with that. I think it says that Madison County has limits, that it is not going to be exploited by corporations, that we are still open for business, but that does have limits, and that we're not going to allow corporations to drain our resources for their own profit. So I would just consider the long-term growth of Madison County with people coming in or people potentially leaving because of the effects these data centers have. Thank you.
Cheryl McKinney, Madison County resident. I'm here today to ask you to slow down and take a more cautious approach before making long-term commitments related to data center development in our county. My first concern is a 6-month duration of this moratorium. It expires during the holiday season. It is much harder for working residents to stay engaged in this process. Public meetings are already held during morning hours when many people are at work. Important decisions should not be timed in a way that limits meaningful public participation. I ask that any further meetings ensure residents have a fair opportunity to review information, attend meetings, and provide input. My second concern is the uncertainty surrounding potential long-term impacts. History has taught us that what is considered acceptable today is not always considered acceptable tomorrow. Decades ago, certain levels of lead exposure were reviewed as acceptable because the data did not yet show the full extent of the harm. As science advanced, we learned more and adjusted our standards. Our county has experience with environmental issues that were once believed to be safe or even beneficial. We sit on multiple Superfund sites today because decisions were made before long-term consequences were fully understood. Those decisions cannot be undone, and future generations continue to live with those results. With data centers, there are still questions about long-term environmental infrastructure and health impacts. We know these facilities require significant power and resources. We also know that some studies have examined possible health concerns associated with living near high voltage transmission infrastructure, including research into childhood leukemia. Whether those findings ultimately apply here or not, they demonstrate the question remains and deserves careful, independent review. My request is simple. Put the brakes on this process and do more research. Seek information from independent experts, not from developers, not from consultants, or parties that stand to financially benefit from these projects. Once decisions are made and infrastructure is built, they're difficult or impossible to reverse. The responsibility of these decisions belong to you today. I ask that you proceed cautiously, ask those hard questions, and ensure the interest of current and future residents come before promises of short-term financial gain. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Olivia Reyes. I live on Fowler near Deluxe Donuts, and I just have a bunch of questions today. So, how much water will the facility use per day, month, and year? Where will that water come from? Will residential customers be affected during droughts or high demand periods? How will water quality be monitored? Who is responsible if water issues occur? How much electricity will the facility require? Will utility rates increase? Will grid upgrades be required? Who pays for upgrades? What happens during peak demand? What noise levels are expected? Will independent studies be conducted? What protections exist for nearby residents? How many acres will be used? Will farmland be affected? Will wetlands or wildlife habitat be impacted? How will stormwater be managed? Have environmental studies been completed? What tax incentives are being offered? And what enforcement mechanisms exist if commitments are not met? And when these questions are answered. We want specific answers, numbers, studies, reports, clear commitments. We don't want vague. We're still studying that. Those details aren't finalized. We don't want trust us or technology is the future or everyone else is doing it. Anyways, that's all I had. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Commissioners. My name is Dick Krager, 10433 South State Road 9. The proposal would be about 100 yards from our backyard, so I guess that's why I have a concern. I want to thank you for entertaining the public comments, and I really want to thank all of you for making the comments. A concern I have, which kind of umbrellas what's been said today, is already an Indiana code 3236, and it is the nuisance code of Indiana. And I'd like you to consider everything you've heard here and how this nuisance code, Indiana code, would be applicable. Personally, reading through it, I think a development like this and the construction of it creates a lot of nuisances. Yes, it does. So just a consideration, the Indiana code on nuisances. Thank you.
I think about, we'll about 5 minutes-ish left. I'm not sure if these people are online or if you're the last. Are you speaking, sir? Okay. We'll go ahead and start.
Good morning. My name is Jorge Silva, 2642 Atlantic Court. I lived 2/3 of my life in Anderson and Madison County. I'm an import, literally. I answered your question. Yes, I do have a cell phone. Yes, I do use social media. And anybody that does in this room is using AI, whether they consciously know it or not. It's happening. So data centers are coming. And I have a number of friends in here already that I know I'll be friends afterwards. As I looked out my kitchen window and looked at my backyard and a farm and trees beyond that, I thought, okay, what would it take for me to accept a data center back here? And I thought of several things. One is, we talk about by the way, before I say that, quick comment about lead smelters in the country. These are the people that take lead and process it. All your cars, even hybrids, typically have a lead acid battery in them. There are no lead smelters in the United States anymore. Why? Because EPA said you got to have this. So what happened? All those lead smelters moved mostly to China, India, whatever those places. So there's more pollution being generated than if they're done here. So with the same mindset, the data centers, let's not just, I don't want to anywhere near my house. Let's manage it. So again, what would it take for me to say, I wouldn't mind if it was back here? Water. Limit their water in a way that it prevents draining the resources. I did a little research, and a medium-sized data center uses about 5% of what Anderson puts out on a daily basis. It's not a huge amount, but it is a large amount. We're on a well, by the way. So aquifers don't understand county lines. It's the same aquifer, whether you are. So put a restrictive ordinance quickly in here, study it more, and then open it up later on. Because if it goes into the next county that doesn't have an ordinance, they're going to put that aquifer. It's going to give us more. So I'm actually saying put something in place more quickly. It's restrictive, and don't get into analysis paralysis, but then look at opening it up later on as more data becomes available. Energy usage, limit their energy usage. Ask them to fill their roof with solar panels, do whatever they want. The diesel technology today is so clean that people are thinking about 35, 40-year-old diesel engines spewing out smoke. That's not the way they are today. So that pollution is very highly controlled. And when they run the generators once a month to test them for an hour, whatever they do, you can mitigate the noise, you can control it, which leads me to the other one. Noise, put a standard that at the property line, you cannot increase the measurable noise. Maybe allow them 3 dBs. Measure at midnight. Take a 5-minute average. So if a car goes by, it doesn't bias the data. But limit it. Put requirements that they put a tree line so that, again, my view out the back window, Cole's view out his side window doesn't get ruined by this big block building. All I see is trees again. All these things, yeah, yes, all these things we can do. So don't resist, manage it appropriately. Thank you.
Coming to the end of our hour, so I think you might be our last one, sir.
I got one more lady.
No.
Are you late?
Are you the only other person wanting to speak?
We got more.
This gentleman would like to speak too.
We got more.
My name is,
I'm with.
okay.
Hey,
My,
guys.
my name is Al Roadcap. I live at 4618 South, 200 East, outside of, okay.
Olivia?
Is
Can we go
everyone
like
wanting
2
to just,
minutes
for the
so
people that
everybody
have
else can
signed up
hear?
already, just
We've
2
got about
minutes?
8 more people that I have written down to speak. And I know there's lots of other people here that want to speak, but that's what we got about left.
Okay. You guys want to make it 2?
I say let them all each speak. They came here, they took the time out of their day.
Thank you. Thank you for letting the voices be heard. My name is Al Roadcap.
Let's have a vote about it. Now it's the beginning, it's an hour. Let's have a vote on it, please.
Okay, so
My motion will be to let them speak.
For the 8 that have signed up, Ken.
for the ones that have signed up.
Or the ones that signed up, because they're the ones that were on the paper. Pardon me?
It was going around over there.
Got to draw a line. Gotta draw a line.
Some of them were outside that didn't get the opportunity to sign in.
I'm here for whatever time you guys have.
Okay,
So it's up to
perfect.
the
Thank
board.
you.
It's up to these guys.
Have this in July as well.
Yeah.
So is that, are we gonna, we need a vote on that. Does everyone want to open it up for the ones that have already signed up? Do you want it 2 minutes, 3 minutes? We announced 3 minutes earlier. Are
I
we
make a
all-
motion that we let everybody that sign up for 3 more minutes until we get through everybody on the list.
Second
Al
that motion.
Rodekep is next. If he hasn't spoken.
Those in favor?
Could I modify that? I hate to do that.
Go ahead.
The ones that didn't sign up because they were out in the hallway, I understand they could not get in here. We could limit it to 1 minute. It might only be 20 people, 20 minutes. 20 minutes for them means a lifetime for us. I would say let's give them an opportunity for 1 minute. Allow these 8 and then a minute for everybody else after that. If they didn't get a chance to sign.
Let's find out how many people out there, that wants to speak.
I'll go out there and
Let's find out.
work on the outside.
Let's find out how many want to speak. 2 minutes. Let's go.
Okay, so 2 minutes, or what, is that what we're, okay. Do we need to take a vote on that officially?
I would just for clearance, the people are standing there that are here
Okay.
today.
We had a motion and a second for 2 minutes to allow the people that have already signed up to speak. Those in favor? Aye.
It was 3 minutes.
Do we want to make it 3?
That's what we said originally. That was.
We've said 1, 2, and 3.
Your motion was 3 minutes for
All
the
right,
8 people.
my motion is to let anybody that has signed up on the paper before he went outside to have their 3 minutes to let everybody else like they were here originally. Everybody that signs up outside gets 1 minute.
I second that.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you.
All right, try this again. My name is Al Roadcap. I live at 4618 South, 200 East. My credentials, if there is such a thing, I retired after 42 years with IBM as chief technologist in the IBM Business Recovery Division. We managed 154 data centers in 138 countries. So I got a little bit of experience with this. I started with a thing called DARPANET, which is, you now know as the internet, many years ago. What I can tell you is this. There's a thing out in the industry called Moore's Law, that the density of chips will double. Used to be every 18 months, then it went to 8 months. Now it's probably more like 5 or 6. These data centers are going to shrink internally. More processing capability, yes. Data will not go away. Data is going to be an issue for the rest of our lives.
Can we pause for just
Can
a
you,
second?
just
sir?
1 second so we
We're
can
gonna
let
need
this
we're gonna
gentleman
need
out.
this room right here for
You're
this
gonna have
gentleman.
to step, yeah.
till he-
Sure.
You guys please help make it clear what
Yeah.
path for him.
Okay. All right. Back to what I was talking about. the circuit densities are going to change. NVIDIA, which is the prime driver now for these data centers, just announced yesterday a CPU chip. Now, I can't tell you what the processing capability is, but what I can tell you is this. When I retired, I was in the process of designing a cloud infrastructure. 17 data centers, 600 miles apart. But what I will tell you is this absolute god-awful fact. There will be no warm bodies in that building. There will be no jobs. Those jobs will be somewhere else in the world. And if Murphy's Law holds true, they'll be offshore. The construction jobs, that's true. Now, noise. I gave up my hearing to data centers. That's where it went. So the lady's point about noise is very real. Our data centers all had diesel backup. We ran off of mains, but we had diesels. Most of the centers, the big ones, had 4 and 5 megawatt diesels, either natural gas or diesel fuel. I can tell you for a fact, the Sterling Forest Center, we ran a tanker of diesel a day through those engines because the local power grid couldn't support us. And they weren't going to put any stuff in. So just consider this. I think this moratorium is a great idea to study this. The idea of going off and piggybacking off of Hamilton County, wonderful idea. Steal somebody else's work. Just don't do it yourself. Steal some else. And I already talked to Rob. If he wants to tap me for expertise, I'm more than happy to help. Thank you.
Next. All right. My name is Morgan Mullins. My address is 6613 North 350 East. I live in Alexandria, technically Moonsville, Richland, so I believe that that's part of the unincorporated area that you all speak of that is possibly on the map here. And I am against it. I am, in fact, so against data centers that I would love to be the first county in the United States to put a permanent ban on them. And I think that that would also make everybody think very favorably of you. And that goes to my second thing. What actually kept me up last night was the fact that I don't feel this is a public meeting. I did not hear about this through any of you guys or through the website. In fact, on the website, it doesn't even list anything on the notes for the meeting that we were going to be speaking about a data moratorium. Sorry, I'm trying to speak fast. I think that it's ironic that the Planning Commission failed to plan. Less than a month, we had notice to get people in here. Data centers are a very hot topic. As you heard him say, we didn't have space for the disabled gentleman. I watched a lady just fall. So if this is the consideration that is taken for all of the people, I am very disappointed. I would also just like to say that while I do have faith that you guys will at least do 6 months, maybe even a year, I have more faith in everybody else here that if they don't do the right thing, you can take this device right here, request that your information be deleted, and we can go back to living like it's 1999. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Good morning, Greg Valentine. Most of you know me since you see me every month. Usually don't say anything, but I live at 5297 South 800 West LaPel. I've been representing Green Township since 2000 as the trustee. See a lot of people. I run a food pantry 20 years now in Pendleton, Ingalls area. I've talked to a lot of people. Probably not as many emails as the board's got, but I've got a lot of emails, a lot of comments. I've not found one person interested in a data center, not one. And I represent about 9,000 people. I haven't talked to all of them, of course. I'd like to see you push this out to a year and then do the only logical thing and turn it down. Thank you.
My name is Fred Gaskell. I live at 6766 South 50 West, Pendleton, Indiana. I'm a township trustee for Fall Creek Township. I've been the township trustee since 2010. And it's always been my thought that I'm serving all the people of that township after I get elected. So I'm assuming that you folks do the same. And you've heard a lot of folks out here. And I would say that probably about 99% of the folks that spoke here have been speaking against this and speaking that you at least make sure that you put the time in to know if this is an asset or not an asset for the county. So I do the same thing that you're doing. One time we were asked to join and merge with the town of Pendleton. The people decided they didn't want to do it. We didn't do it. That's our job.
And then he's gonna start sending in
The people from the hallway.
people from the hall.
Okay.
Did y'all make them aware that it was only 1 minute?
Yeah, well, yes, I did. Yes, sir.
Okay.
I'm Jennifer Rhodes. I live at 10728 South, 700 West, Fortville. My family and I have a blackberry farm there. Moved from Geist Reservoir a number of years ago and love this community. I just have one question. I think everybody's really covered the topics pretty well. I don't understand the process, so perhaps this isn't possible, but the attorney for the group that's here and beyond that is in opposition of the data centers in our county has suggested that you all could vote today on this being 12 months. And we've heard a lot of people say, we don't want just 6 months. 6 months isn't enough to consider something so important. We want 12 months. And so I guess my question to you, because I don't understand, is this something you could vote on today to extend it to a longer period?
I don't believe so because it was advertised for 6 months.
To make sure that is the least likely to have a collateral attack, especially with this doing the 6 months. I believe the safest way is to do the 6 as advertised and come back and do it 6 again.
1 month, 30 days is not going to make a difference at this point, and to get it right, so somebody can't come back, like Jeff said, let's do the 30 days, come back and make sure that doesn't get thrown back in our face for a technicality.
Okay. Well, hopefully you've heard all of the thoughts and really consider that because I think as we look at other counties that have been doing this, I don't know that I've seen shorter periods. So I appreciate the year. Thank you.
And before he speaks, I think Ken could also add to it, to protect the taxpayer dollars, because somebody will turn around and sue us if we advertise it for 6 months and then do it for a year. Then of course they will come back and try to sue us for the same way, right?
Yes.
So then it costs taxpayers more dollars. But I'm pretty sure that once we do the 6 months to 30 days.
I think
we'll
that
take
may
care
be
of it.
right that you could, but
Yeah.
let's use belt and suspenders.
Right, so we don't want to, yeah, we want to protect the dollars as well.
So now we're beginning the 1 minute.
Well, actually, they said they signed up and didn't speak. I can't.
I thought it was in line, but there was people in front of me that I guess they weren't going to speak.
These 2 people are 2
Okay.
minutes.
All I need is about 1 minute.
You're good.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
My name's Tim Coffey. I live at 2103 Kitchen Drive, Anderson, Indiana. All I really want to say is there anything we can do to put this to where it's actually a public vote? That's all I want to say. Because it seems like that would be the right thing to do. I mean, it affects everybody in this room probably.
So certainly not today. if that's
Yeah,
what
yeah,
you're saying.
I'm not saying today, but not
Yeah.
today.
No.
But doesn't that make sense? Anyway, that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Kim Barnhart. I live at 5727 West 800 South, which is about 2 miles south of the data site. But I'm here today on behalf of Paul Wilson. He has sent you all a letter, and I just want to summarize his letter, if I can, because of time, that he says many of the same things that's already been said and the things that you need to look at. But one of the things he wants to say is that he is in support of a 1-year moratorium, which you are considering that, And he is a former 8-year member of the Madison County Planning Commission, 3-term South District County Commissioner, and he wishes that you would all consider that. Thank you.
My name is Heather Green. I have nothing prepared. I'm going straight on emotions. And I'm just going to say, I don't understand why no one has brought up climate change. This is a real thing. This is really happening. And these data centers are just going to increase the climate. Not only is it going to destroy our water sources, but what about wildlife as well? What about the wildlife? Y'all, we all deserve to be here. We all deserve to be here. It's not about left versus right. It's about right versus wrong. I beg you to please think about the citizens that you are here to represent, okay? We do not deserve to live in hell. We deserve to have a peaceful, healthy, happy, sustainable life, and these data centers are not it. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Rebecca Nycat. I live at 29 Myrenia, Ingalls, Indiana. I have never bought one thing on Amazon. I'm not online. I don't text. Why in the world would I want this? There's a lot of people like that. No one's giving information. I had to find out about meetings from a flyer on the door of a gas station. Why are we not going door to door and telling people and getting signatures and getting some kind of petition going to where we don't want this? If people don't want it, they don't want it. Follow the money. That's all I've got to say.
Hello, my name is Leanna Hunton. I am one of the many citizens that filled up the hallways outside of today's venue and has been cut down to 1 minute to speak. With that in mind, I would like to request that the next moratorium be held in a venue that can fully accommodate the concerned tax-paying citizens of our county. Is our fire marshal aware of how we are set up today? And does our committee care about the health and safety of our citizens so much that they're going to show it like this? Look at everybody sitting around sweating. We don't even have a data center yet. The lack of planning for this does not instill confidence in the foresight given to the very data center that we are here to oppose. Please plan better. Please say no to the data center. Please provide a venue that can accommodate everybody who would like to say something.
Hello, my name is Caitlin Van Landingham, and I live at 8049 South Evening Drive in Pendleton. That turf is, between Ingalls and Pendleton, I hear. But I didn't prepare anything. I didn't know what the meeting was going to be about today because there was nothing I could find online. And I just want to make a couple points. And first of all, I came here with zero expectations, and I have been completely blown away by this community. I don't care what political spectrum you're on. We are all here together. And our voices are against this. End of story. And I hope that you guys will reflect our voices too. One additional thing that I haven't heard talked about, how much money do you guys spend on hosting your multitude of government files? The property tax infrastructure online, the property tax ownership records that we're all able to access, vital records, all of these government internet infrastructure exists in a cloud. And if you're not paying it for yourself, you're paying a third party to host all of that stuff for you. Why are you not making concessions to these companies offering the data centers? Yeah. Why are you not demanding space in their cloud? At least then it would benefit the community. So that's all.
Good morning. My name is Alexandria Stanfield, and I live at 264 Ringwood Way in Anderson, Indiana. For today's meeting, I was able to stand out in the hallway with the other overflow citizens, and I am grateful for this 1 minute, although I do feel I have many more minutes to share with you. As I was able to stand out there, I was offered the opportunity to email somebody to share my moment, but we were then offered the chance to come in here to speak. So I jotted down a couple points. As I was able to type and listen to the other speakers in support of the 12-month moratorium, which I also support and request the city to implement at minimum, I ask that there be an increased transparency and accessibility for how these meetings and follow-up sessions, particularly about the data centers, are planned and scheduled, as requested by some of the other speakers today. Instead of sharing these important community meeting announcements in a paid-for newspaper and on a vaguely listed local government website that really doesn't provide much information or makes it come across as limiting knowledge and information about these happenings to actual community members. And instead of leading with clear scheduling, transparent topics, and early access, this would be extremely beneficial towards empowering citizens and clarifying the alignment between the councils and the everyday person. These obstacles to attend these meetings come across as a deterrent for citizen engagement, which I don't like to think is the case. Other obstacles include finding information about the agenda, what to expect in the meeting as a citizen, where to find information after, how to get involved, parking, as well as having to take off time from work, childcare, things like that. So if those things could be considered and listed on the website in relation to these, I think it would be even less tense, hopefully.
Good morning. My name is Jamelyn Wortman. I live at 69 Inman Drive. I am a newer resident of Ingalls. I've lived there about 3 years now. I lived in Indianapolis and moved to Ingalls kind of as a solstice or as solace as a safe place, because Indianapolis, as you guys know, is a very bustling area. And coming to Ingalls, I was really hoping for nice, quiet, which we're getting. But with this data center, it's going to affect all of that nice and quiet, make it nice and loud, driving up nighttime and daytime temperatures if you do your research appropriately, which I'm sure as leaders you have done your research. Especially we're already struggling with the heat as it is now. I just wanted to say that I don't really appreciate having to take my birthday to do this. The only reason I had this day off was because of my birthday, and I'm really glad that it fell that we had this meeting. So I appreciate you taking the time. Thank you.
Happy birthday.
Please put a hold on this for at least 6 more months, if not a year. 6 months would make it difficult because Christmas, holidays, everything like that. Nobody wants to come in during the holidays. So please put it for a year, please.
Hello. My name is Derek Miller. I don't currently live in the county. We just bought property about 1.5 miles outside of Ingalls that we will be building on. And I just wanted to talk about the open for business part a little bit. It's been a while. It's been a while since I took an economics course. But I think one of the basics was development follows population. So if all these people are telling you that they don't want to live near these things, that's going to be a population drain, a population decrease, and less development. So I think what Hamilton County has decided is they want to promote population first, and the development will come with the population. And also, as far as the notices, I know the town of Daleville has somewhere on their website where you can apply, give assent to have a text sent to you whenever there's a public notice. So those notices go out by text to anybody who signs up. Another way to handle that, I think, would be to have something put in on any school in the county. All the parents get texts from the school corporations all the time. It would be easy to forward public notices onto the parents through the school.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Got the list, Larry.
So I get something.
Okay, yeah.
So just for everybody's knowledge, one thing, there has been no contact made with our office, with my office that I'm aware of about a data center anywhere in this county. Nobody, no developer has called me, no property owner has called me, no company has called me. So I understand that there's one going right there. I understand all that. I don't know anything about it. Our office doesn't know anything about it. As far as the transparency goes, you can call our office anytime. I am going to develop a special page on the website as an energy update thing. You know, websites are notorious for being places to find something and places to forget to put stuff you're supposed to put on it. We will try and keep it updated every Friday. If it's not updated on Friday, please call me directly and I'll make sure it gets updated. So it'll be a Friday of every week. We'll put a notice on whatever's coming next week, energy related. Data centers, bass. We go fishing too. Carbon sequestration, we've got all kinds of stuff. So there will be a page on the front of our website trying to cover this. So thank you. Oh, I'm Larry Strange. I'm the executive director of the Planning Commission.
What's your number? How can we contact you?
765-21. Oh, wait a minute. 765-641-9540. It's on the website. I don't call myself very much. So. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry, sir.
No, it's all right. It's all right. I thought that was a line. That's all right.
Are you on the list?
I am. Yeah, they had put me on the
What's
list
your
out
name?
there. My name's Kyle Snell.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Hello, everyone. My name is Kyle Snell. I live at 7755 Mansfield Way in Ingalls in the Prairie Hollow subdivision. The one thing I just wanted to mention is I want to talk about EMF radiation. I do paranormal investigations. Next weekend, I get to go investigate Waverly Hills. But one of the things that you find out as a paranormal investigator, especially in houses, is that high EMFs can cause feelings of regret, depression, makes you feel crazy, makes you think you see things that you don't see. And that's when you don't have shielded EMF. Now, a building this size is going to create a massive amount of electromagnetic radiation. And that is going to be very detrimental to the health and welfare of the citizens of this county. We had back in, I believe it was in the 1980s or 1990s, down in Franklin, there was a pocket of cancer in children who lived near power lines. And that is something that absolutely has to be considered, is the EMF availability of this type of a building. So thank you, guys. Mhm.
So hello, everyone. I'm Tammy Dixon Tatum, and I just want to say thank you for this meeting. And most of all, thank you for allowing all voices to be heard, including the voices in the hallway. So you allowing those extra few minutes really means a lot. I think it's very clear what the people want. And so I'm hopeful that you all give the people what they want and pump the brakes on this data center and do more research. So I just want to say thank you for that. Thank you for allowing us to be heard today. Thank you.
Through the list now, Larry.
That's it.
Yeah.
Are you
Well,
going to close it?
Yeah, we'll close the public hearing now, and then if there are any questions or comments from the members on the board.
I have a question, I guess, and I'm gonna just hearing them think without telling me, where do we go with this at this point? I mean, we're gonna have a meeting in July. Hopefully, we're gonna pass another 6 months to make it a year. Where are we gonna go with this as a group and with the planning? And I'd want to know because we understand where everybody's coming from, at least 99% of them. But nobody knows what the next step is going to be, me being one of them. So will you educate me and the board and the people where we're going to go with this at this point? Because this is huge. Look at everybody that showed up. What are we going to do and what's the planning department at this point, Larry?
So it's partly in my staff report. So if you read the staff report, you'll see it. I'm not saying that as what you call a reboot, but I'm telling you it's in there. So basically, we are in the process of updating our UDO. That process has taken 2 years. When we started it, we did not include specific sections for data centers, carbon sequestration, and others. Because as this has occurred, we had an initial section on BESS, as we knew BESS was coming. We are relooking at that. We have a consultant on fee to do this. I've got enough money left to have them working with me to construct basic ordinances for each of the things between now and hopefully October. Have a base using the solar ordinance as a background and filtering that in for each one. We'll have those. We're going to try to have the UDO approved soon, like in July, so that we can start saving the county money by doing things like reduced variances and all that. So basically, we hope to have these ordinances done in 6 months or a year, but they'll be done outside of the UDO. There's a placeholder in the UDO in which they will go. Got it?
No, I knew that part. I would just think beyond that, where these guys didn't understand the tech with the UDO and where we're going, and then what we talked in our last meeting about expanding it to this, expanding. At this point, once the board, once we get it up with the second part of the UDO, that you're going to have HWC, I think it is.
We are going to work with the HWC to construct 3 independent sections or 4, the energy section, just basically redo the energy section. Each ordinance will come as a separate thing. So the data center will come separate, carbon, I mean, I can't guarantee that, but you know.
Right.
Okay. But that's the plan. It's
But we should tell them that, because there is other things just besides what you're thinking, what's next after this. That is other things that is gonna happen in the next 3, 4, 5 months.
And also, I think it's good to tell everybody that this is all being proactive. That this was
Very
not,
much
this
so.
is not a reactive situation right now. So normally you see us when we have meetings, it's because we're being reactive to a situation because somebody has contacted us and then we're trying to react to it to get behind it, right? But now we're getting in front of this. So I think we should give a round of applause to the commission for ahead of this before it comes in and it's sitting at our doorstep, right? So now we having something, we put some things in place. Trust me, everything is never perfect, right? But it's also a starting phase. So we're kind of getting ahead of it to have placeholders in there. And so thank you for that there.
Did that answer, is that what you wanted?
Yeah, that's, I just
Okay.
want them to know that.
And
where
then
we're going.
and again, I'm going to put this thing on our website. We'll try and flavor that with the spirit of this, but we are trying to be transparent. Nobody has contacted me about a data center. And I say that with Scott's honor.
Thanks, Larry. Olivia, can we ask questions, or is that?
So we've closed the public hearing. So are there any other comments or questions from the commission before we entertain a motion?
I guess my concern is, there was a lot of no's, but there wasn't really a lot of hard no's. About everybody up there said, study, more studies. We want to know more data. We want to know this. We want to know that. The 32 people that was up there, I wrote a data on 32 people that was there. There was one for sure, yes. There was a couple question marks and one that was on the fence whether or not. I mean, nobody has reached out. Nobody's reached out about a data center.
Please.
No.
Hold on,
No,
guys.
we're
do that.
discussing now.
This is just us talking to get you guys more information. If you want to know the truth, you guys asked about more information. 33 people up here asked about more information. They wanted to know more information. I'm not opposed to giving the 6 months. I'm not opposed to the year, but not one person up here, one person up here said that let's do away with the data. Let's do away with the cell phones and stuff. Nobody in this country is going to do away with that. It's the way of life. Everybody understands it. Internet, data, and all that is the way of life. If we don't embrace it, it's going to go somewhere. I mean, I know everybody knows it's going to go somewhere, but nobody wants to do away with doing their cell phones. Everybody keeps ordering Amazon. Everybody keeps doing all this stuff, and that's all part of it.
No, guys, we're discussing.
So, I mean, I think we should get some more information on it. I'm not opposed to setting the motion for a 6 months and then rediscussing it in another 6 months. I mean, if you want to make the motion, that's fine. I'll second it. But I'm just saying that I think there needs to be more information because everybody up here said, we need to know more data. We need to be informed. We need to be this. We need to be this. We need to be that. And I think we should, as our duty is allowing them to have more information that we obtain.
I agree with that, Michael. And here's what I've seen in my part, just sitting here. I've watched you guys speak. I watched your expressions when people spoke, clear or bad. There was some emotional, some ladies, this young lady here was very emotional when she got done. This is beyond a hot topic for everybody because it might not happen in my backyard, but it might happen in theirs. I don't live there, but we have to understand what they were going to go through. I have 2 grandkids that are autistic. I get that. So I'm afraid of that part of it. What I'm concerned about and what I've read a lot, and I've read zillions, I've got emails from you guys, I got phone calls, 3 hours last night on one group, just talking about it and letting them talk. I said nothing, they just talked. What's concerning is some communities out there is accepting it because they need the money. Because what bills are coming through the Senate, from the House, from the state. my personal belief, I'm not willing to sell ourselves because we need the money to offset the taxes. I'm willing to do this. I want to look at everything, and a year will give us enough time to take in everything about what's happening with it and make wise decisions. Somebody talked about brownfields. I'm all for brownfields. They were meant for a reason, and there was money out there from the state and federal government, EPA, for brownfields. Not saying we need it here, and you're right, they're going to go somewhere else. But I can tell you, there's communities that have it that no longer want these data centers, and now they're having a hard time getting rid of them. So we have decisions to make that will change. In my world, my grandkids mean the world to me, so it will change their world if they still live here, if they choose to. We can make it a better community if we look at it, and not saying it's not going to happen, but to jump in and say we're doing it, Mike, let's give it a year. Let's just look at it, everybody, and it's good conversation back and forth. I love the open dialogue. You don't have to agree. You like apples, I like oranges. But at the end of the day, we can agree to something that it works for the majority. It's not going to work for everybody, but it will work for the majority. And it might not work in this county, and that's okay. And if it does work in this county, we need to make it the best it can be to protect the citizens that we have. That's just my humble opinion.
Ken, I'm glad you said that. I took notes as everybody was speaking, and I was trying to hit on topics that people were not repeating from one another. Hope everybody can hear me. Tell me if you can't hear me out there. Okay, can you hear me? All right. The mic is right here. So I'll get a little closer, all right? And some of the things I heard was talking about was basically, what is it? Well, that was a big question. What is it? What is a moratorium? What is data centers? Everybody has an assumption of what it is, right? The time frame. We know we don't have a time frame because nobody has presented one to us, right? And the approval of the ordinance on the time frame of the ordinance, which is 6 months to 12 months. Then we heard about the impact of sound, the negative impact of sound from the data centers, the air pollution, the water pollution, the increase of healthcare risk and costs that it hit the community, a lot of the noise pollution, like you just brought up, the use of brownfield land. We all know that Madison County has some of the best farmland in the state of Indiana. So we want to protect it as well, right? The draining of our resources. We all live in Madison County. Some of us live in Anderson, and we know you sneeze hard enough, the lights might go out, right? So we want to protect that. But also, somebody asked about limiting resources for the data center. I mean, that would probably be, I guess, a far-fetched thing to try to tell somebody what they can and cannot do once we open Pandora's box for them, right? And one of the things I really, towards the end, was hitting hard was the overflow of attendance here. And people talked about how it's not easy to obtain information. And this is something that we can control right now, as far as, the next meeting and stuff. And I think that's something we as a committee or commission needs to look at, because your voices are very much important. And we need to listen to what you guys have to say. A comment was made about financial needs for the county, and that if we do this, that we're going to be hurting our financial future for our county. Our financial future is our people in our county. It's not a dollar bill that somebody's going to bring to our county. And I think we need to really pay attention to that. So with that, if it was okay, I'm ready to get started and put a motion on the table so we can go, right?
Let's do it.
So I'll put a motion on the floor that we accept the 6 months moratorium as presented and for a favorable recommendation to the county commissioners. And this will be petition 26 TA 001.
Jeff, are we gonna add to that?
We have to do that, but we have to do that later, right?
That's gonna be that's gonna be on our next agenda.
Okay. Yes, on the-
I've been directed to put that on the agenda.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. I
I'll
just want to
handle
make
the
sure that
noticing
we
of
had.
that.
Because I didn't think we had to add that, right?
I'll second it.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, Nikki, could we have a roll call vote?
Stacy Kennett,
Yes.
this is
a favorable recommendation.
Favorable recommendation for a 6-month moratorium.
Yes.
Rob Steele,
Yes.
Corey Bolander,
Yes.
Jerry Alexander,
No.
Lindsey Brown,
Yes.
Ken Kaczynski,
Yes.
Mark Gary,
Yes.
Olivia Pratt.
Yes,
Thank you.
that will be on our agenda next Tuesday, the 16th, the commissioner's agenda. Is there anything else, Larry, that you have for us
No.
today?
Just to reiterate, by Friday, we will have, what day is today? Tuesday. By Friday, we will have an update on the website for this.
Is there anything else from the board?
Motion to adjourn.
Do we have a motion?
Second.
All right, we are adjourned.
You guys can have your attention, please. We need to respect the courthouse.